January agenda.
We got our.
We are live. We're live, so whenever you're ready.
Yeah, they heard the voice.
Everybody in the audience ready to go? Do a call to order for the Brewery District Commission for the Department of Development in the City of Columbus. Administratively, our next business meeting is January 19th, which is a Thursday at noon in this room. And the next hearing will be Thursday, February 2nd at 4 o'clock, also in this room. Everybody cool with that? Hey, I'd like to swear in the staff. You raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you very much, both of you. Let's introduce the commissioners.
Matt Lejeune.
Thank you, Matt.
Daniel Mather.
Thank you, Daniel.
Deviani Puranik.
Thank you, Deviani, and I'm Cynthia Hunt. So we have a quorum. We have in fact the entire commission here today,
Yes.
which is an awesome thing. All right. We'll move on to staff approvals.
Okay, we have a few staff approvals. The first is BD 23-01-001, 690 South High Street. Then we have BD 23-01-004, 544 South Front Street. BD 23-01-003, 907 South Front Street. And that is all.
Okay, let's take them one at a time. How about 23-01-001, first application of the new year?
Yes, so this is a application to restripe the existing parking lot per the submitted plan to meet the requirements for 10 parking spaces, remove existing masonry knee wall and install new superior aluminum picket fence with new landscape screening per submitted site plan and product cut sheet. Install 4 new natural LED wall pack exterior light fixtures per submitted drawing, color medium bronze. All fasteners to be placed in the border, not into the base of the brick. And staff recommended.
Any questions from the commission?
Nope. The next one, 5-4.
I'd like you to cite the note so people know.
Oh, yes. Note, any new signage requires a separate application for review by the commission.
Thank you.
The next one, BD 23-01-004, 544 South Front Street. Sterling Condominium Association, call out VGL Limited Owner, Kathy Maloney, applicant. This is a renewal of expired COA BD 21-10-003, which expired in October.
You don't have to read it, all of it if you don't.
Okay,
You can just give us the highlights if you want to.
so this is the renewal for the expired COA to install new gutters and downspouts, color to match existing, and to examine the stormwater drainage system for soundness and proper function.
Any questions on this item? Okay.
And the last one, BD 23-01-003, 907 South Front Street. This is an application for exterior building operations to clean the box gutters, repair crown molding, painting of the soffit, fascia, and trim to match existing color, and clean and hallway debris.
And you have approved all the colors and choices of materials?
Yes.
Okay, all right, any questions?
Nope.
Thank you. Accept a motion? We have to motion to approve these, right? Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner Mather. Anybody, 1 second?
I think.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved, passed.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll look at the minutes from the last two meetings. Has everybody had a chance to look at them? Any changes, concerns? Nice job.
Thank you.
I'll take a motion to approve. Thank you, Debbie.
I'll second.
Thank you, Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And if we could do a separate motion for December, just to make sure,
Sure.
Okay,
that way we have it on record that, we have each one.
all right, that's fine. So that was for, we'll assume that was for November. Is there a motion for December?
I'll make the motion for
Thank you,
for
Dave.
December.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're good on that as well. Thank you,
Thank you.
Kimberly. Okay. Moving on to our continued application.
Yes, so our continued application today, BD-22-11-004, 841 South Front Street, 841 to 843 South Front Street, and 66 to 68 West Whittier Street. Whittier Park Limited owner. This application's for demolition, rehabilitation, and construction, site ingress/egress on South Front Street and egress on Bank Street, demolition of existing two-story brick house at 835 South Front Street. Can move on to the staff report.
Please do.
So for the staff report, already read the proposed work description. Staff analysis included a site visit that was conducted with the applicants on Monday, October 3rd, 2022, including HBO staff and Department of Public Service staff. 2 commissioners attended. Subsequently, the applicant provided revised materials to DPS for review. In a November 2nd email, Kevin Thompson responded that DPS concurs, quote, concurs with the design for a possible full access on South Front Street, unquote. In addition, DPS staff finds that inadequate information has been submitted for review to determine whether or not it would be, quote, infeasible to improve the access at Bank Street at the rear of the site, unquote. At the November 3rd, 2022 BDC hearing, the commissioners requested that the applicant provide the Department of Public Service missing information so the department would be able to make a determination regarding access on Bank versus Front Street. The applicant provided a letter from Public Service, quote, given this information, we agree with the general conclusion of the summary that providing an access utilizing the right-of-way along Bank Street would require significant improvements as well as impacts to several of the neighboring properties and property owners in order to meet a minimum geometric design for the proposed facility, unquote. At previous hearings, consistent comments and concerns have been stated by commissioners in regard to demolition of the brick house before the possibility of Bank Street. Bank Street has been thoroughly vetted. Commissioners should discuss if Public Service's statement regarding access is acceptable or if additional information might be needed. HBO staff does not support the approval of demolition without an approved replacement project. The commission has stated that additional information was needed prior to their support of demolishing the existing historic building. Commissioners at the business hearing confirmed that page 9 of the PDF material was new and that the U-turn is based on the City of Columbus's fire vehicle T-turn standards. The commission encourages the applicant to reach out to owners of the adjacent properties in regards to the possibility of Bank Street improvements. The commission requested clarification from HPO staff on if they could base a decision on site access and if that was a sufficient reason for the building demolition. Evaluation of a site as a whole is part of the commission's purview. This section is noted in Columbus City Code 3116.13, standards for site improvements, also noted below. The site and landscaping can also be considered contributing features which are reviewed under portions of City Code 3316.11, standards for alteration. The commission also posed to HBO staff if a traffic requirement could be considered as part of the review. This would need to be explored by Department of Public Services Division of Traffic. The posted speed limit is not an item which falls under commission review. Staff recommends continuing application BD-22-11-004 to allow the applicant to provide an updated design and complete design package. Basis for staff recommendation is our code sections 3116.14 standards for demolition, 3116.11 standards for alteration, 3116.13 standards for site improvements, and finally 3116.13 standards for site improvement.
Would you gentlemen like to approach the stand?
Love to.
Good.
You swear me in.
Oh, yes. Raise your right hand. I assume there'd be more than just you today.
For right now,
Okay, right. Can you raise your hand, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but?
I do.
Okay, great. Have a seat. Would you please introduce yourself for the record?
Certainly. My name is Doug Irvin. I'm with Stonehenge Company.
Okay. Thank
Here
you.
representing the project.
Thank you, Mr. Urban.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Urban.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to appear before you. I won't belabor the point. We've spoken with each other often about this dilemma. Also subsequent to the business meeting and then our receipt and review of the staff report, we had a letter sent, which I hope that you all received.
That has been provided to the commission.
All right.
I guess I should look at it. I didn't realize that. My apologies. Keep going.
But, which basically, it crystallizes where we are, is that in order for us to give you a final plan for you to approve, we need to figure out if we can move beyond the impasse of the house. So we're in a catch-22 both of us. And we understand that you cannot allow us to demolish something until you have a final plan for the whole. All we're asking for is a nod to say, go for your final plan, and we understand the house could be a casualty.
So
Or
you're
will be a
asking for
casualty of that
conditional
plan.
approval.
I'm sorry?
You're asking for conditional approval of demolition.
Sure, because I understand. You're
Pending-
not going to give me approval to knock down a house. But you don't have a plan.
State what I think we're going, where I think you're asking. Conditional approval of the demolition pending acceptance of a full design package and review and approval of that. I believe.
That
is
is
what you're asking.
correct. I'm sure.
Is that fair, you guys?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add to that?
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you. It's great to see you guys again. Okay. Commissioners have comments or questions or conversation? Moment of grief.
So I guess the last bullet point here in the staff report. So are you able to elaborate on that a little bit more in terms of
Components that are missing.
well, no, sorry, the speed limit issue. So,
All right.
so I guess what I'm getting at, so the issue is the 4-foot offset from the wall of the garage, right? That's being required by the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, and that is not within our review parameters. Is that fair based on what that last bullet point here?
So not with concerns to the speed limit. So
Right.
since they're also in contact with the Department of Public Service and Transportation and Engineering, we trust that those professionals have looked through this and made their determination of what is the safe speed limit or if things need to be adjusted. So
No, but I think what Matt's asking, which is slightly different from that, is that 4-foot requirement required at 35? Are you asking now? Or are you asking for the speed limit to go down?
Well, I don't think I'm asking for that. I'm trying to just clarify that. So that 4-foot is being driven by that. And is that something in our purview to review, or is that just
Or
something
can
that?
we even ask for a review of it?
So if it's being driven by a different department, that would fall under them. And if they need a variance, they'd be asking us for one. I think
They would be asking us for one, or we would be
Yeah,
asking?
so if they would
Them
be,
for
if, let's say hypothetically, transportation needed the speed limit lower. I think they work with them to kind of adjust things or tell them they need to set things back further. So that would impact their design on that level.
Or ask for a variance on 4 foot.
Yes, so, and then if they needed a variance, they'd have to come to the brewery district first to ask for their recommendation. Because with it being in the design review district, they can't just make an approval, they have to make sure it goes through us first, and we're going to do that department in that legal sense. A little bit of a roundabout answer, we've never had that before.
Yeah,
Question.
well, I just, is there the possibility, so regardless of the house issue, which is why we're being asked this, could there be a variance to this 4-foot offset that we would support, which may help the project, whether there's a house issue or not a house issue? I'm asking that question just to understand that issue fully, because I think it's a tricky issue, so.
And I don't specifically have an answer for you, but they did bring somebody else up to the table. Who I'm speaking with.
Swear me in.
Hey, would you raise your right hand, please?
Sure,
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but?
I do.
And would you introduce your name?
Andrew Gardner, V3 Companies.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Andrew Gardner with V3 Companies. We're the civil engineers.
Okay.
Mr. Leisure, are you referring to the clear zone, the 4-foot clear zone
Yes.
between the drive and the existing building? The requirement's actually 10 feet. In our meetings with, the city Department of Public Service, they've already conceded it down to 4 feet. Because of the speed limit there, the visibility, they understand the other characteristics of the neighborhood. That requirement doesn't exist in other parts, or existing conditions are not there in other areas of the neighborhood. So in discussions with them, they've already conceded it down to, yes, we could probably get by with accepting 4 feet. That is to provide adequate clear zone, visual clearance for pedestrians, for other vehicles as you're exiting onto Front Street. To reduce it any more would really, I think, create a safety concern exiting out of that building,
In your expert opinion.
in my expert opinion.
Irrespective of speed.
Irrespective of the speed limit, yes.
So and I'm just clarifying for myself, because I think this may come up in other projects, but is that a variance that you've asked for? Or is that them just making
It will result in,
You mean for the 10 to 4?
yes, like do you need to ask us for that variance as the commission, or has that already been?
I truthfully don't know the correct procedure for that.
Okay.
This, again, in discussions with Mr. Bleichschmidt and Kevin Thomas, they're the folks that said, yes, we would probably accept a reduced clear zone of down to 4 feet. That will come up when we submit a final site compliance plan to the city, and they will most likely just approve it as a condition on that site compliance plan. Is it a formal variance? I guess I don't fully understand how that process works. And who would request that? It's something, again, that they have stated to us they would accept.
It would fall under, I think, if there were variances, part of the building and zoning review, so when you would submit the final site compliance, building and zoning might identify some variances that pop up, and variances need recommendation from the Brewery District Commission prior to them being presented at or at council.
We can add that as a contingency if we chose to.
Yes,
Okay.
you could.
All right.
And they've stated in writing they would allow a 4-foot instead of 10-foot.
Yes, and you were also, I know some of you were at least at the meeting where we had that discussion on site as well.
I guess I
I
wonder,
can,
No,
yeah, I'm sure.
We're
I can
asking
get
if it's
that.
written down.
yeah, if it's
I
officially
can get that
stated.
in writing.
Okay. That'd be
I
great.
mean, yeah, I think you can submit that with your site compliant plan. I don't know.
Other questions?
Also, if I could clarify one thing, and that is at our on-site, DPS was in the 6 to 7 foot range from 10 feet. And then in further analyses that we kept preparing and looking at this, we did the test of scenario that took it down to that just a test out at even a 4 feet, it still was a problem. So to answer the question, I can't speak for DPS, but we're probably somewhere in that bandwidth where what they're going to approve, less than the 10 feet, which is their requirement.
Does it matter if it's 6 to 7 or 4 in your mind?
Well, so setting the house
Design
issue
standpoint.
aside,
Yes.
I think farther away from the northern property, the better, you know, like, I think just,
Right, by
Right.
definition.
so I think the more that we can push that, the better the project is, in my view, just from a, you know, trying to minimize it's not a lot of, I'm not worried about traffic, I'm just worried about impacts to the property.
Without consideration of whether the house comes down or not.
Right.
Okay. Do you feel like you understand what is required to complete the design submission? Do you need a list from the office to make sure that that's clear?
Well, I've learned in my older years that I never assume that I know as much as I think I do, so I would like a list.
Is that something we can do?
You're talking in terms of overall design?
Right. To the design package, can we supply a list of what we think we don't have? And it could just be updated forms 1, 2, 5, 7, 13. I don't know.
Like scale measure drawings,
Yeah,
materials?
right, just a complete list.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
To this point, all that we've seen in terms of architecture, it's a pretty conceptual sketch.
Exactly,
Understood.
exactly.
We just need to get beyond where we are to get to that point.
I want to say something. I know you guys have been here a lot. I know you've been very patient. I still struggle with this because I do not believe we have received good faith efforts on your part to look at alternative designs to include the historic house. I just don't think you guys have thought that way. I think everything has been go back to the design, go back to the design, go back to the design. Let me say that. I also don't believe you have shown us evidence of financial hardship at the level that would need to occur in order for us to say it's a financial hardship. Those are my two concerns. Having said that, I'm open to the conversation of the conditions for, but I'm really on the fence.
Yeah.
Others?
I agree with, especially with point number one.
Yes.
I don't, we've already discussed it,
Right. And I feel like
folks.
it just, we ask for it a lot and we get the same design every time. I know you're just, looks like you're disagreeing. I'm telling you, that's what we're experiencing.
Yeah.
I think, and I agree, so I'm on the fence too. What sort of makes me balance on the fence is that I believe in the project. I believe that the project is good for the neighborhood.
We all do.
I think the project is good for the city in general, so. I'm split between being a cheerleader and being horrified by the demolition of a house.
Is this something that a updated architectural design, whether it be like a rendering or, kind of a sketch would? Okay.
I don't think so. Do you think so?
Well, I guess to your first point, we're a review entity.
Right.
And we have tried to throw out alternatives, but that's not really what we're supposed to do. So,
It's not our job to say this is good, this is bad.
right,
It is our job to ask, I believe.
correct. So I feel like we've tried to help the project along by throwing out ideas like the rear access, but really that's not what we're supposed to do. But we have not gotten any other alternatives in return. So I feel like we've talked about this more than we probably needed to. I think,
It feels like there's nothing else to say.
yeah.
Yes. Do you have other thoughts?
Well, I'll let you guys continue, but I think,
I've said what
I've
I've
said
said.
what I want to say.
I think in terms of the overall project, the thing that the house does is a scale transition. And I think that's very important. So we have a 1.5-story cottage. And then from what I know thus far, we have a 5-story building immediately against that cottage's front entrance. I think that's a real problem if that's the proposal. Now, maybe that's changed since then, but I don't know because we haven't seen an updated
So
architecture.
to Kimberly's point, if a design addressed that transition, you might feel more comfortable.
I think that's a really important part of the project.
If I can speak.
Of course.
I hear all your concerns and I'm not in a position to tell anybody how to feel. What I will say though is, trying to communicate is in order for us to get to something that is more tangible for you to look at something like that transition or have that discussion. We just need to have faith and confidence that our investment in that is going, that we're not gonna come back and revisit this by saying, we're never letting you take the house down. That's what the conditions for, to allow us to get to that point and have that dialogue, because you are correct, we are stuck.
We know.
And you're frustrated talking about it, as are we. And that's logical and normal. So I'm just saying, can we get unstuck with the condition that you get to approve the final plan?
And I will give you credit. I think your site has very difficult access. That is not
Absolutely.
necessarily something that is anything to do with you.
Or standard.
It's a unusual circumstances, and I totally get it. The original Whittier Street access is no longer available. The rear access is, very difficult, if not impossible. So I get why this is a challenging project. So that just.
I want to echo Daniel's point about feeling very positively about the addition to them. I absolutely care. That's the only reason this is hard. Are we prepared to, is there anything else you want to say? Are we prepared to make?
Same, if I could say ditto, I mean,
Sure.
it's still struggling to really understand the concept of this is the only path, or can we explore different path to the design? Also, I'm curious, has there been any discussion with neighboring property owners? Was there any input, or have you reached out? I'm curious.
I have.
Okay.
And have had the property immediately north of us was transferred about, it's probably been 8 months now. I sent them a letter to their mailing address for their tax duplicate and sent them a follow-up to that and have not received any response. And actually, the property is currently vacant. I've tried to catch people there. Our neighbors immediately across the street appears to be going through renovation. The offices are pretty vacant, not a lot of activity there either. So I'm there often because the fire department likes to come down and visit us for annual inspections and a whole host of other things. Plus, despite what you may believe that we're fixing on our design, we've been going down there scratching our heads, and I've ran a lot of people through that building. I almost got shot by the Columbus police because I set our alarm off, and took them a while to believe that I was not a burglar. And through that process, I had always hoped that I'd find a neighbor because I'm a pretty social guy. I haven't found one yet that was willing to talk to me about it.
Any other discussion or questions? Are we prepared to make a motion? The motions are either to continue or to give approval or denial.
And just to note,
Yeah, conditions.
as a reminder, if we do any denials, I will be holding the speak to the fire.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time understanding you.
You can't love the mask.
Okay.
I don't have, so if we do a denial, I will be asking for, relevant code and guidelines as for reason of denial. I don't think it happens often, but I want to make sure if it happens, we are prepared. I'd rather work with the applicant and continue work, but
Okay.
worst case scenario, I'm always planning for it.
Do we need conditional approval, or is a continuance appropriate? And I'm asking that question.
To the applicant, do you need conditional approval or is continuous appropriate?
I do. That makes me sleep a lot better at night, and also probably protects my job if I keep spending money and we find out we've gone there.
Please don't make your personal, professional situation our responsibility.
Sorry about that, but sometimes it is about me.
Because much as we like you, we can't make that part of our decision process.
Yep.
You want to come up? Are we prepared to go with conditional? You are?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Others?
How are you wording it?
That's the part I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
I mean, I could stumble through it.
So I think with the conditional, my concern, and I'm just putting this out there for you, once we get to that point, if we do, is that we need to know that the design process is going to go through in good faith from here on out. Like when we're having conversations about the design and we're asking for things, it's important that those be reflected in the revised concepts that come back. And we're not just getting the same thing over and over again.
Why don't we put that in the condition?
I think there are multiple conditions.
Yeah.
That's one of them.
I also want to clarify if we're doing that as a condition for the demolition. If you were to say, you know, we approve the demolition with the condition that a approved project is submitted, we would send them the hearing letter saying that, but we wouldn't be issuing that COA for demo until we have that completed
That is
project.
exactly the point.
That's correct.
Yeah, that is exactly the point.
Yeah, so I want
We
to.
have done that before and it was a gigantic mistake. I will never do it again.
Yes. And I'll make another condition before we.
Okay, we'll let Daniel
Yeah.
start
Yeah,
with
okay.
the motion.
Unless you'd like to make a motion.
The commission would like to make a conditional, I would like to make a motion for conditional approval of demolition
With multiple contingencies.
with multiple
Sure,
contingencies.
conditions,
And those contingencies are,
yeah.
colon,
One,
that the design process address in future hearings our concerns about scale,
in transition.
massing, transition, and materials.
Right. Two,
The applicant maintains the current property during this process with the assumption that demolition has not been approved because we have not approved that until we approve the entire project. And that is a concern of mine because I'm not sure that that's happening right now. So
have we addressed your concern about, we did transition, I think effectively, what about good faith in the meetings? Have we addressed that concern? The design process, three, design process continues with active responses to every question that the commission asks in commission meeting one being addressed in commission meeting two, or an explanation ahead of time as to why. Okay, that's a cogent, useful explanation. Yes,
Are we going to split the two or are we just keeping them all?
I don't know, should we make it two?
What is
motions?
easier for you? And, because,
Well, I think this is about the demolition only.
Yeah.
okay, so this, I
Yeah, we're gonna have a second one on the design. So you're right, we should take the conditions for the design and put it into the design continuance.
Yeah.
Okay?
So
But conditional on an approved design is absolutely part of the motion.
Yeah, so
Okay. And
yes,
is there anything else we need to,
I think do we need to make a motion on the site ingress and egress on Front Street only?
so.
I think we need to say with the understand, oh, I'm sorry, separate?
Yeah, well, let's do that separately. That way it doesn't get too muddled.
Okay.
And, you know, if we need to, well, we can issue the separate COAs at different times as well.
Okay. All right, and I would add to your motion, if you're aware, if you're comfortable with this, that the commission is willing to offer this, but really not happy about it as an option. I mean, I'm in active grief about this. I know that's not your problem, you know, just like your professional situation, it's not mine, but I think we all really don't love this answer, but we think we're at the end of our rope in terms of what makes sense. Is that fair?
Can we review the motions?
Sure.
The conditions.
Can you do it?
So, yeah, currently,
Yeah,
What
go
do we
ahead.
miss?
So we have one, John, our architect, like at one point.
Right, yes, John. Raise your hand. Yes. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but?
I do, yes.
Okay,
John Hyman with MA Architects.
right. Thank you for introducing yourself.
Still in it. Since we're gonna be preparing a package, I want to be clear, I want to make sure I'm clear on the understanding what the expectations are in terms of what we next bring forward.
Right.
And I'd also like to understand if we're going after one certificate of appropriateness or two.
We're going to give you three, it sounds like. There'll be three motions. Okay, so let's hold that till we get to the design.
I thought it was,
I thought you wanted to do public the egress and access as well.
yes, but that would be separate from this one.
Right.
because We've got the two.
There's
different-
demolition, conditional demolition, there's access and egress, and then there'll be the design. application.
Yes,
So there'll be three COAs. So wait for the design
So
conversation.
CUA will, for the buildings, will cover both buildings, or is there COA on both buildings?
so what this application is for is the site ingress egress and then the demolition of the existing two-story brick building. We
Two
don't-
items.
Yes, so we don't have the design included in this application, so that'll be a separate future vote.
Right, which is with a third COA addressed as you needing all three. Because we don't have the information we need to approve or deny the design at this stage.
For the new construction building?
Yes,
Okay, but I'm also asking for a clarification on the tower building in terms of what the expectations are for a COA on that, or if
To me, that's tied into the overall
those
design.
buildings are
Is that
connected
fair?
in the same approval.
That's the way I think.
I would think so too.
Yeah,
It's one project.
So then the design process that we're going to be going through here on forward is really to include both projects moving simultaneously.
Yeah,
both projects meaning both buildings in the design?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
I think what we're doing today is saying, okay, you can go in and out of Front Street. Okay, the building can come down.
Right.
Right.
Assuming we approve the final design package,
Yeah,
Okay.
right, get the.
which has to address some of these things that we've done.
Yes,
All right, so let's go through the actual motion.
Okay, so this is conditional for the demolition. That is, the conditions thus far are the design process needs to address scale, massing, transition, and materials.
Keep that in this or put it in the overall design continuance?
Matt?
I think it should be in this.
Okay, fine. I think you'd be low. Go ahead.
Okay, applicant maintains property until final approval.
Absolutely here.
Wording on that one.
And that is the entire property, not just the historic house.
Yes,
Okay.
And design process continues in good faith. Updated word.
And when the good faith part, I want to make sure you get meeting one, meeting two in our write-up.
What's that, sorry?
I want to make sure you get the meeting one, meeting two stuff in our write-up, so that when we ask for something, we actually see it.
Okay.
Okay? All right, are you okay with that? Is there anything else we need to add?
That, and we might add a note that will provide the complete design list package as well,
Right.
just mentioned.
Right. Okay,
and that design package requirements would be appropriate for both buildings as well.
Yes.
why is that? I'm confused about why you're asking that question.
I'm just wanting clarification.
Okay, I'm sorry? Would you like to approach the stand and swear in?
Yeah.
Can you raise your hand, please?
Adam Troutner, Stonehenge Company.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but?
I do.
Thank you.
I think that, my guess is what you're referring to is that back building, in theory, there's a backbone system there already. And then, you could always, from even doing a project, you could take that and renovate that tower right now. I think that's maybe why
If you guys want to come back to us and
Yeah, we've not
present
done
us,
that yet, but that was
present us
one
the
theory.
package as together, but move ahead on one piece at a time, I think we'd be open to that conversation.
But I think
Long
at
as
this
it's
point,
still
I think
approved.
where we are, I think at this point, like where we are, it's fine to do them all together. It's just when it comes to construction over there, you can see where that back section could go much faster. Now, you also could look and say, well, where are you gonna park?
Yes, and because we've been burned up the street, I don't
Okay.
think that we want to approve them separately.
Got it.
Yeah.
Understandable. And I just want to say too, as the family that owns the property, we have no plans to demolish the building, had no plans. That's why we've been here going through this process. We respect the process. And so I just want to assure you that,
So the envelope of the building needs to be closed.
what's that?
The envelope of the house needs to be closed. Right? So right now, there are windows missing and things like that, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
So
I think we've gone down there recently and done some work. I don't know, is that on the house?
Okay.
Yeah, we've been
You-
boarding
You
up.
tell me if
There's
I'm
things
wrong,
we've
but
done, I know.
when I look at it from the outside, that's what I'm seeing. So
But are you saying, because there has been plywood on there from time to time because of the vandalism and such, are you looking to have windows replaced in there?
just
So
that
temporary.
just want
it
security.
should not be open to the elements.
Yeah,
And I know we've been doing some work down here recently. I'm not familiar exactly what it was. but-
Window out on the second floor on the south elevation, we fixed it.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
actually, I forgot I have two things I might want to add. I apologize.
This is to. part-
Demolition,
part A, yeah.
yeah. What are the documentation requirements for the building? That are standard documentations if there is a demolition? Do we have any?
Typically, we use modified HAP standards.
Right.
So
Are they responsible for that or are we responsible for that?
the applicant is responsible. So that just means
We
very
have a
clear.
consultant for that.
Okay, all right. So that needs to be contingent. We need to see the final documentation using the modified historic building standards. And then the last item is, what about materials? Do we actively try to recycle historic materials for the neighborhood? Do we ever do that?
I don't believe that's been included, at least
Not a
not
crazy
to
idea.
my knowledge. We could encourage the applicant to recycle.
That's what I'm,
I don't know if we can require.
on behalf of others who might need historic brick in the neighborhood, or, you know, that's mostly.
We
what
have
I'm
no
thinking.
problem with that encouragement, not a requirement, but that encouragement. We have no problem with that. We actually contemplate that.
Okay, right, we strongly encourage that.
So noted.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we comfortable? I mean, as comfortable as we can be.
Yeah, and since, you know, it's going to be applicants okay with all the conditions as well?
Sure.
I assumed we'd hear something if they weren't.
Yes, I wanted to have that on record because sometimes in, you know,
It's
previous
good.
stuff
That's
has been
fair.
skipped.
Okay,
So moving forward, we'll go through the preliminary process and then the final process, just as any other project that goes.
yes,
So I understand it.
yeah, all right. Any other discussion? Okay, is there a second?
I have the seconded.
Thank you, Devani. Deviani, rather. Okay,
So, one more, who motioned? Okay.
and was the guy who stuck his foot out? We appreciate it. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed.
Thank you for your time.
Now we have to do the access conversation, right?
Yes, or,
And is there just a motion to be made there saying,
yeah, unless, you know, unless you have further discussion.
do we have further discussion on the access conversation?
What about the variances that might?
So
can we
variances
list those
would need
right
to be
now?
submitted by the applicant, and they're not presented right now, so that is something I'm assuming they'll be working on down the road.
That needs to be a contingency on the demolition? That's the other one I forgot to put in.
Well,
Or should it be with the access stuff?
You could tie it to the site compliance plan.
yeah, so I mean, when they go through their site compliance, building and zoning, we'll let them know what variances are, because that's where
We
the.
need to understand those, if there's,
Yeah,
it's required that we
possible
see it.
Earlier.
Yeah.
So, staff would encourage you to start working with building and zoning if you have not already to identify what possible variances would be needed, because we will want to see that preferably, you know, same timeframe as we're seeing an updated design. That way, in case there's elements of the design that are affected by variances changing or variances that change the design, we can kind of handle them at the same time. And building and zoning is familiar working with us and us working with them.
So the access situation is also a conditional approval based on seeing the variances or understanding the final results, a written documentation that the department accepts them, the appropriate department accepts them.
And we word that such that it's tied to the preliminary site compliance review process.
We're okay with whatever documentation is appropriate.
My only concern is the final site compliance process is way at the tail end of everything.
If you haven't figured out that we're trying to help you make this happen,
Yeah.
you're not likely to stick it.
No, I
We just wanna-
understand.
We want to see it along the way.
Yeah, we're just on record, so I just want to be clear.
And, you know, that, the site compliance thing, we've heard that you've had the fire chief review this, and
Right.
they're not gonna require the, you know, rear access, but we want to know that for sure. I mean, if that comes back around at the end and we're already, you know, that's,
Our concern is hearsay is not sufficient.
Yeah, we went through the one-stop shop process like 2.5 years ago, and, you know, got all those comments. We need to go back through that same process again.
yeah.
How long does that process take, John?
About a month.
Okay.
Okay,
You know,
good.
once
We
we-
can make,
about
we
2 to
can run
3
that
weeks
parallel
once.
to make it work. Okay,
Yeah,
All right.
just wanted to make sure we weren't sending things out.
who would like to make this motion if there's no further discussion?
So can I ask for clarification? If there is a condition for this, and if you could restate that?
Yeah, we're about to do it.
Okay.
Okay, good, that was cool.
I didn't want.
I know.
Are we gonna have to have you guys do rock, paper, scissors?
How about if you do it?
But if the variances are based upon, you know, the approval or comments from the preliminary site compliance plan.
I think it's a little bit more than that, so go ahead.
Yeah, and I don't have all my thoughts collected, so
Okay,
this
just
could,
start. We'll
this
help you.
could be kind of a mess. So
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the access
conditionally.
conditionally with the understanding that the site compliance process will be part of our future reviews, and you will come back to us with any new information or assumptions that have changed.
I would make it stronger. I would say with a documented set
right.
of whatever the apparent variances are. It's not a formal variance. If they said 4 and they're comfortable with you not doing a variance, we need to see it in writing.
That's fine.
Okay.
I think that's the, right, so the first one is site compliance assumptions we've been provided thus far continue to be borne out by the review process. And then the second is that if there is a variance required, that we approve that.
Right. Is there anything else we need to do on that?
That you actually have the right to approve the variances that the public works would be.
Yeah.
Would be.
That would be coming back through us anyway.
So it would be recommended,
Yeah.
not approved.
Recommend.
Yeah. So
Recommended for approval.
change the language, please, Andrew. Thank you. Other additions? Daniel, you look pregnant with thought.
No, I think that's good. I think it's,
Makes sense.
I'm good with it. Okay, any other discussion? Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? You have conditional approval on the second item.
Thank you. Appreciate your assistance and time.
We appreciate your willingness to come back. We do believe in the project. So,
Thank you for your time.
thank you. Take care. Okay, next item. Wake up my,
All right, so our only new application tonight is BD 23 01 002 560 Meyer Place, Donald Weaver applicant, Dave Bischoff owner. This is for new construction, exterior building alteration and landscaping, exterior alterations for a new patio with landscaping stairs and an accessible ramp. The staff report, this is a request for action, the proposed work description, new patio area, construction of concrete, new patio painted to match existing building, SW 2829 classic white, new patio door painted to match existing building, SW 2829 classic white, construction of new concrete stairs and an accessible concrete ramp painted to match existing building, SW 2829 classic white, installation of new galvanized steel handrail system painted to match existing building, SW 2829 classic white, landscaping, installation of new landscaping with proposed patio on the south elevation per submitted plans, and exterior building alteration, infill existing door and stair with brick painted to match existing building, SW 2829 classic white, new door concrete stair on east end of south elevation painted to match existing building, SW 2829 classic white, infill openings on east end of south elevation with brick, paint steel awning frames, SW 6468 unclubbed green. This application was submitted and approved in 2014. As a west facade renovation to be completed in 2 phases. Phase 1 has been constructed. Phase 2 was submitted, approved, and constructed in 2021. This proposal includes construction of a new concrete patio area with accompanying landscaping. Commissioners at the business meeting would like to know if the windows on the south elevation are the same as the windows on the west elevation. Clear comparisons between the old and new elevations were requested. Column boxes in red would be helpful. The commission requested an updated scaled select measured south elevation drawing with all proposed landscaping shown, and a picture of the proposed railings and proposed paint color were also requested. Staff recommends approval of application BD 21 08. Staff recommend approval of case BD 23 01 002 with the following conditions. 1, a scaled/measured elevation drawing of the south elevation is submitted to HPO staff with landscaping prior to issuance of a certificate. Any bricked in openings are approved on the south elevation based on lack of visibility from any public right-of-way. 3, any infill brick is to match the color of the surrounding glazed brick and be set back 1 to 2 inches from the face of the wall. Cut/product sheet of the infill brick is to be submitted to HPO staff prior to issuance of certificate. And basis for staff recommendation, code 3116.11 standards for alteration, 3116.13 standards for site improvements, 3116.12 standards for new and standards for new construction. And image on page 30 shows that the railing would be black and not white.
Aren't the railings on the other side all black?
Yes.
So yeah, this is on the west element.
And you're doing this in all white, the south side in all white? It's black, right? That was the thing that stuck out to me. I didn't understand why everything was white.
Can we swear the applicant?
Oh, sorry, thank you. Oh, yeah. Okay, raise your hand. Thank you very much. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And can you give us your name and your professional affiliation?
Donald Weaver, architect on this project.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Weaver. So,
We're matching. Whatever we're doing on the south elevation, it is our intent to match what was on the
I feel better about that.
west.
How did we get white?
That is based on the previous COA approval in 2021.
Okay, so we need to amend their materials to include the colors?
Yes, currently the existing materials in this package show match existing building.
Okay.
The previous COA approval states.
So in other words, the COA approval was white before and they went with black and we didn't catch it, perhaps?
Perhaps.
I'm happy with black.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
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 Black tends to disappear.
Well, black is the right thing for this building. Okay. So you want to tell us what has changed? Has anything changed since you submitted this for the business meeting 2 weeks ago?
No, I heard nothing from the business meeting, did I? Or did I?
The request for the south elevation to show the landscaping, that was the feedback from.
Okay,
this.
so trying to show,
Do we have new stuff in this package is what I'm asking. Okay,
You all.
I sent
The-
pictures.
The additional pictures at the end of these materials,
okay. Can you,
the ones with snow.
okay,
are new.
yeah, that's, okay.
this one.
This is a
okay.
new,
Okay,
this is on the west
That's all the
elevation
west, right,
to illustrate the landscaping.
right.
so, and what staff is recommending is conditional approval with you guys approving all of the materials, the landscape plan, everything else.
Correct.
I don't know that we would want to, that all be staff approved, Mr. Landscape Architect. What do you guys think?
Everything's to match on this west elevation.
Yeah. The only thing I'm worried about is the fenestration in the landscape.
The finish, tell us about the replacement windows.
They're gonna be exactly the same. Same contractors out there, he's gonna order the same materials from the same supplier.
But the fenestration pattern on the south side is.
It's
south
different.
side,
It's different.
Very different, right?
Yeah.
West side, east side, right? It's west, east?
Let me get straight in. We're southeast west, yeah.
Okay, all right, that's why I'm confused, all right. Right, but I think we got to the point in the business meeting where we said it's okay, because even though it's different, it's still okay, right?
And you're using the existing openings.
Yeah, we're using existing openings.
Are you closing anything?
They're just infill with the brick.
Uh-huh. How many? I don't, yeah, which one? All right, thank you, Kimberly.
There's also infill openings to the, yeah, there you go, the small ones, the square jobbies.
And we have the new,
On the right,
the
yeah.
new guys at the top, right? Are those the top new ones? The little ones, the 3 beat, are those
The
new?
top ones up here are infill openings with brick
Okay.
as well, so these 6 right here.
And then I believe on the far east, we have infill openings.
Those are existing. I'm sorry.
I was
Can't
shocked
have
that those
these
are existing, okay.
Nevertheless, there are no new openings in the masonry being made.
No.
What about landscape? Do you want to see landscape?
I think as long as it generally follows suit with what we've already approved.
That's the same landscape architect
Yeah,
that did the other project was doing this one.
right.
Is there anything you want to specify as part of approval?
So currently we don't have a landscape, or there is a landscape plan in here, right?
Yes.
Okay, okay, so no, I think as long as it's meeting that, yeah.
All right. Right. So any other discussion? Okay, do you have anything you want to ask us? Do you have anything you want to ask us?
No, fine, thank you.
All right, I'll accept a motion.
I make the motion to approve with a submitter with conditions that staff noted.
And staff can approve those elements when they are submitted,
Yeah.
which must happen before you can get final approval.
Before I get what, final building permit
Before
approval?
you get the certificate of appropriateness, okay? So he has to see the cut sheet. Often the materials are helpful. He's laying out exactly what he needs to see for you in
All right,
in
you'll
the,
send that to me and I know what materials to send to you. Cut sheets.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah, that'd be great. All right, so that's key that he see that stuff
Yeah.
for you to get final, because we're saying if he sees it and approves it, we're okay.
Okay.
Okay,
And
all right.
just one of the clarification, the commission is okay with this, without a south elevation, without the landscaping, or did I mishear that?
I think what Matt said is he's okay if it looks like the others.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll leave it to you to.
Yeah.
And you can always reach out to him, right, if you have questions?
Yeah.
Fair.
Okay. Did I say something inappropriate?
No, no, you were fine.
You gave me that look. so-
No, I was shifting, but
Okay.
one of my knees locked up.
So we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Yeah, is there any further? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Conditional approval. Thank you. We appreciate what you're doing.
pardon me.
We appreciate what you are doing
Well, thank you.
Thank
See
you.
what you do.
today. Okay,
Okay, our last item. Business, and just a point that the agenda notes this conceptuals for action. So case BD -22 -12 -001B, 684 South High Street, Bradley Blumenscheid and Nelson Brewery / Rhythm Architecture applicant, Ben Bolden LLC owner. This application is for signage to modify existing circa 1948 pole sign for submitted renderings, metal sign cabinet to remain unpainted, paint background of the two, sign faces black with yellow and white text and logos, paint sign color black, paint one Cobra logo on east exterior wall, install address on east exterior wall and Charcoal Cocktails above the south end. The staff report includes discussion from the December 1st, 2022 commission hearing. Commissioners at this meeting were okay with the black sign with black on the pillar sign. Per the short north design guidelines, only one projecting sign, the pillar sign, and one wall sign are allowed. There are currently 3 proposed wall signs, north elevation Cobra, the Charming Cocktails lettering on the north elevation, and the west elevation Cobra. The guideline states a maximum allowable area for a wall sign that will be supported is 25 square feet. The proposed wall sign will need a scaled / measured design submittal. Per the short north design guidelines, the signage message should be designed in a simple fashion and may include the business name, logo, function, and/or street number or address and related artistic treatments. Telephone numbers and web addresses are not appropriate. Logos identifying the primary business may be integrated as an accent within signs. However, logos advertising individual products apart from the primary business are not supported. Additionally, per the guidelines, each ground floor tenant space or building, if single tenant occupancy, may have one projecting sign and either one wall sign or awning sign. as approved by the commission. The commission needs to discuss if the two murals are considered signage or art per the comments from last month's hearing. HPO staff has included relevant code sections below. Staff recommends approval of application BD-22-12-001B 684 South High Street with the following conditions. Signage is limited to 2 signs and signage content is limited to business name, business or logo, function, and or street number or address and artistic treatments per the short north design guidelines. Scaled/measured drawings are submitted for all signage prior to issuance of a certificate, and the pillar is painted in appropriate colors so that it reads as an architectural element. Basis for staff recommendation, City Code 3116.11, standards for alteration, and short north design guidelines, the general signage guidelines, City Code 3303.03, letter G, City Code 3303.13, letter M, and City Code 3303.19, letter S.
And you guys got the staff recommendation in advance, right? And you raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes.
I did.
Can you please state your names and your professional affiliations?
I'm Andrew Burek. I'm with Rhythm Architecture.
Bradley Blumenscheid, Rhythm Architecture.
Great. Any questions or thoughts for us? And you have not submitted changed drawings, right? From the stuff we saw for the business meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
Everything's the same. For the
All right,
business.
and you know that the vertical sign counts as a sign.
Yes.
Okay, one of your two. All right.
Just a clarifying question. So the wall sign that we can have, if it's letters and words, it has to be the word mark, the kind of slogan of the business.
It has to be the elements that Hunter described, or a subset of those. Okay. And it has to be smaller, and you can only have one, and it's not a mural. You guys got that right? Okay.
Mhm.
Not that we're close to mural, but it can't be a branding, marketing thing. It has to be celebration of something that you're trying to encourage or celebrate. That's kind of the way I'm thinking about it. And we have been open to murals in other environments.
Yeah, I guess if you're gonna do a mural, do a mural.
Yeah,
Is that fair? I think what,
and get creative.
yeah,
So it's more of kind of just celebrating the environment and kind of going away from the logo more towards.
It's not about the logo or the branding.
Yeah.
It's about, it can be, to my mind, it can be about community or conviviality or, but it's probably not a stake.
right. I mean, and so I think,
Sorry.
you know, and you can determine how you go about this, but a mural would involve an artist,
Right.
you know, looking at producing a regional artwork.
Right. And let's say you're trying to do something with the patio and try to make some
Right.
amazing thing in the patio. We'd be open to that.
And that could reflect the tone of what you're trying to do,
Exactly.
but not that brand. Is that a fair way to state that?
Yeah, it sort of goes beyond the express interest of the business.
Right.
It dips its toe into the express interest of the neighborhood.
In case you couldn't tell, we encourage them. You know, not that the building needs it, we're just saying we love them. I mean, we think you're doing a nice job with the building as it's. Sure. And do you have other questions? Does it make sense to you?
No, I think that makes sense.
Are we okay with the conditions, commissioners?
Can I ask the clarifying question? The charming cocktails, is that the part of, is it the sign?
That is considered a law, one of their.
One of those
one of-
wall signs?
Yeah, so they would
Yeah.
need to narrow that down to one
Right.
of the proposed 3.
Oh, gotcha,
And
okay.
I thought it was Maybe I'm misremembering. I thought it was one per elevation.
No, it's one.
It's one
Yeah.
per
One.
total building.
It's two total, but they have already taken the big Kahuna one with the
Got it.
existing,
There's three, they need two.
right,
Gotcha.
there's
So
four.
that's
they
staying, is
need
that
two.
correct? The charming cocktails, is that?
No, there's four they need to.
Oh,
So the Cobra Charming Cocktails are 1, 2, 3. There's
The-
Cobra on the west, Cobra on the north, and there's the signage over the door.
There's three.
Yeah.
They need
So
two.
if we
They need,
change,
no, there's 3 plus the big one.
oh,
They need
Oh,
the big
The
one.
big one counts?
Yeah, they need the big one.
On
plus
the
one.
sign? On the,
The
well,
tower, the pillar side, yes, that is.
oh geez.
Now,
Yeah.
mind you, that one wouldn't fit the short roof design guidelines,
Right.
but it's an existing conditions.
Right, and we're supportive of it because it's a neighborhood icon.
Okay, this is good.
so if we change the two snakes to murals, the charming cocktails would be okay, correct?
Feels brandy to me.
Well, it would be considered a sign at that point.
Right,
We'd have two,
you get 2, that's right.
yeah.
so
Yeah.
we could consider that the second sign.
Yes, within the constraints that have been offered.
Yeah.
Which are you have to do A, B, or C, and it has to be this size. You're not gonna get to that size in mural thinking in my mind. They don't. The size that they're recommending is about a sign, not about a mural. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think you were just asking if you turn that wall sign into a larger mural. Like if they went for mural, not if they can consider that wall sign a mural.
Right, I
Yeah.
think.
And just a quick note about murals,
Uh-huh.
on short roof design guidelines, murals are not appropriate on building elevations that front High Street.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
That's news to me. Okay. I was recommending the garden anyway, patio anyway.
Yeah,
I didn't want to get too far down.
Good help,
And
good
then have
help.
to wrinkle you back.
So that would be, that would say keep the sign on the High Street side and do the, if you're gonna do a mural, do it on the north side.
Yeah, and incorporate it with the landscape area. Could be nice.
Right. But if you're gonna do a mural, then we need to see you again. It would be a visit as opposed to a conditional approval.
But that could be a separate application.
Yes. Any other questions or clarifications we can offer you?
So for clarification, just so I'm following, if we were to, as part of this application, take off the two snakes, we have the two signs, would we be able to get those approved? As a motion today?
He's up for, go ahead.
Charming cocktails,
Then
Tall,
big,
big sign, and that's it. That's what you're asking.
yes, and then we could come back with a mural, essentially on patio sign at a later date.
A mural, I missed the patio side. I didn't
On
know.
the patio
On the patio side, yes.
Think of more
Yes,
street
yes,
color.
yes, yes, yes.
It seems like that's game.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool.
And just, I think your communication in this package has been great. So just compliments, and I think this is a cool.
Not to mention you've been responsive, which we really
Yeah.
appreciate.
Yes.
Good. Okay, so, and you guys understand you have to submit this stuff, if it's conditional to staff, they have to approve it before you get your certificate. Okay. And if they don't approve it, then it comes back to us.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So, I forget, did you do a motion?
No.
Oh, okay. Is there a motion?
How are we handling this?
Staff recommendation is approval with conditions listed. It's right here.
Yeah.
He went through it.
But,
What are you thinking, Daniel?
well, I'm wondering if, I don't know what they officially want to do. I don't think that we can force them. Like, I don't know if they're gonna want to take away the wall signs and come back with a mural on the north.
They don't have to do a mural. They can just come back with one wall sign and the big sign, and then.
So as long as
staff
they
can
do
approve it.
that,
Yes,
okay, that makes sense.
which I think is what the conditions say.
Okay,
It would come to us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Needing to approve.
So is there further discussion? Is there,
Sorry, I'm a little bit confused. That
Sure.
last condition, the pillar is painted with an appropriate color. That's black color, right? Is that,
Yes, so the architect,
that condition doesn't need to be part, right?
well,
Tech-
since the commission is okay with the black, that would be fine.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion, Madam?
Oh,
It's up
yes,
to you,
sure.
I need commission.
I need help with that. Make a motion to conditionally approve two signs, wall sign and two wall signs with conditions listed. Noted by staff,
Big sign and one wall sign.
big sign and one wall
Right.
sign.
With-
With conditions noted by staff.
That's,
Approve the application with those conditions.
yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations.
Awesome.
Looking forward to the opening.
Yeah.
My house is a block away.
Yeah. I'm 3 blocks.
Let me know if you guys have any other questions.
Thanks, you guys. Take care.
That is all the cases we have tonight.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?